Kirchner, President and CEO of Primrose Schools. Joe, thanks for sitting down with me.
It's a pleasure.
Let's talk a little bit about the impetus behind the organization. What year did you found it?
The company was founded in 1982, and not by me, a young couple who had children who wanted quality preschool, just a half-day private preschool. Mm-hmm. I met them in 1988, and at that time they had opened 3 schools, half-day, and they were really seeing a shift with professional working women who needed to go back to work and were looking for quality care. If they put them in a half-day preschool, they couldn't pick them up at noon. Mm-hmm. And the other option was a minimum wage babysitting environment, which wasn't really what professional educated women wanted. And so the founders of the company saw the need and decided to become licensed by the state and wrap child care services around the preschool. So that's how the concept was born.
Is that about when you came in?
I came in '88 as a consultant, and I was the same professional working mother who had 2 children, didn't have any family support system where we were living because my husband was transferred to the South. And I actually experienced the very thing that they were trying to meet, the need that they were trying to meet, I had. So I connected as a mom first, and then as a marketer second, and then as a business person. So it was a pretty interesting connection. And so I helped them shift the brand from a half-day preschool to a full-day child care facility that offered high-quality preschool. And we shifted the enrollment within 18 months to 90% full-time occupancy. So they knew they had something that they could grow. Their vision was to grow 7 more schools. They had a map with 10 schools that they would have in Atlanta. And I knew that if they had the ability to replicate what they were doing, that they would be able to be a national company someday.
And now how many are there?
So today we have 235 schools in 17 markets. And we have a pipeline of 60 schools to open. Even in this down economy, we've been able to award franchises to get financing to open schools. This year we'll open about 20 schools.
When you look at franchises, mm-hmm. How do you identify the folks that they're the best fit? I had the same conversation with somebody who would be a competitor, and he talked about he was looking for people who were not in the education business to take over franchises. What's your philosophy?
Well, interestingly enough, our demographic of our franchise owner is our parent, professional working people, husbands or wives. And 80% of our franchise owners were actually parents in our schools. So it grew organically in the beginning. Now we're beginning to reach out, particularly on the East Coast and the West Coast where we don't have presence yet. And we're attracting business people, and particularly those who've had a lot of mergers and acquisitions in their careers, been moved a lot of different places. They want to go home, put down roots, have a career that has value to them, make a difference, and make a good living too, obviously.
Interesting. You mentioned the concept of help finding financing. Does Primrose do some of the self-financing for those folks as well, or you've made connections with other financiers?
We've been very lucky. First of all, the child care industry is somewhat recession-proof in that, after the mortgage, the next place that a parent with young children under 5 is going to spend their money is in child care. And in our demographic, while there has been some increase in joblessness, not as much in the higher end income levels. But what we've been able to do is build good relationships with national and regional lenders, and because our track record of success is so strong, and because the industry itself is somewhat recession-proof, we have not really had significant challenges in financing.
Interesting. When it comes to employing people, I would assume you've got a different group of clients. Your clientele is your franchise owners as well as the children that they serve, and then also the parents of those children that they serve.
That's correct.
How do you engage with those 3 constituencies to find out their needs?
Well, in the beginning, it was a lot of consumer research, research studies that we were doing, or outsourced research companies that would do surveys for us. But today, social media has enabled us to engage with them directly, not necessarily the children, but with the staffs, with the parents, with the franchise owners, and the people in the communities that we serve. We're able, through social media, to connect to them beautifully and find out, they'll tell us exactly what they want.
Yeah.
I'm sure you hear that with a lot of
I was
the
talking
companies.
to somebody a little while ago, and they were talking about 11,000 followers on Facebook, and their idea was that people were brutally honest.
They are.
They're going to post if they've got something to say. How do you filter through those things to find the ideas that are most salient to Primrose schools?
Where it generally comes from is our franchise owners also are very savvy with social media, and they have a tendency to funnel those innovative ideas up that they're getting in their local markets, because the franchise owners, the parents have relationships. They have trusted relationships with the parents. So either via social media or via direct, the parents are giving them ideas and best practices or recommendations. Those are funneling through the franchise owners back to us. So really the greatest changes that we've made in the organization have really come through parents to franchise owners to us over time.
When you're looking at, we'll call it curriculum, but whatever it may be within the schools for daycare, do you test pilot things in certain areas, or do you have all the franchise owners roll out the same type of programs?
Well, we have a corporate campus in the north side of Atlanta where our offices are, and we have an operating school. It's a demonstration school. It's the only one we have. And we have to run the school ourselves. For everything that we would ask a franchise owner to do, we do. And anything that becomes an innovative idea that comes from the field, we'll test it in our school and we'll test it in the field. Then we'll prepare to roll it out, then we roll it out. We weren't as savvy about that in the very beginning, but the best way to make an idea really stick and be embedded in the organization is to engage the franchise owners in developing it and then launching it in a consistent way where you've worked out all the bugs. Obviously, that would be the case.
Interesting. How often are you trying out new ideas?
We almost every year are introducing something new. We actually assess the students, pre-assess and post-assess the children in the 4- and 5-year-old programs, so we can see through the assessment research how well the children are progressing, and if there's an area that they're not getting what they need, we're then that next year working on embedding it in the curriculum and then rolling it out. Interestingly, we are the only for-profit education company in America that's delivering exactly the same curriculum in every school, every week, every day, every year. And so the progress of the children, we know it's not a teacher, it's not the room, it's not the child, it's the curriculum if we see something consistently across the country. So for example, music. We knew there was a weakness in the music program that we had because we were getting feedback from parents via social media, and because when we were assessing the skill sets of the children, they were weak in the music area. And so we went back and found a partner out in the marketplace that had a fabulous music program, really written for at-home children, and embedded it into our curriculum, followed through the themes, developed online training, and launched it to the system this year.
You know, as you're trying new ideas, being risk-averse is something that doesn't typically embody most entrepreneurs. Yet, the risk in your case is with children.
It is.
So how do you balance those two? Being entrepreneurial, where you have to try things, take chances, make calculated risks, but at the same time can't harm the constituency.
I would tell you that it starts with the franchise owner, because having a franchise owner with a vested interest, a financial vested interest, as well as a personal career change, we have to be so cautious with the franchise owners themselves. They are the ones that are really the best defense for risk issues. We never do. I can't think of anything in 30 years that has ever been rolled out that we don't test first for, is it safe for the child? So we've not really had situations like that. More often one-offs where people don't really realize what they're doing. But the franchise owners are so cautious about the risk because it's their personal risk, it's their brand reputation in the community, and then overarching, it's our brand too.
It makes a lot of sense. You know, I would think within your industry that you don't have a lot of places to look. Education is one where, you know, it can be pretty straightforward in some areas, but when you're trying to be an innovator within the education industry, there's not a lot of models to look at because you make your own model.
Right.
So where do you look for information that's going to help you make decisions that are going to impact all those franchise owners?
We're always looking at trends in the marketplace, or even, you know, integrating technology in the schools. For instance, we're Skyping in the 4-year-old classrooms with children in China now. we're bringing iPads into our after-school program to begin to work with the children with the iPads, really using technology as much as we can. And the schools are becoming very, very diverse. So this idea of globalization, as much as Americans are moving to other countries to work, we have many other cultures moving to America to work. And so we're seeing diversity becoming really embedded in the curriculum over time. So the trends that are happening in the world are happening in the schools, even at the preschool age.
So it's truly a microcosm of what's going on in the area.
It is.
So what's next? You know, what other innovations do you see coming down the road?
Well, Primrose has been accredited by the leading accrediting organization in the world, and last year I had an opportunity to visit Dubai to accredit 2 American international schools. And while our plan is to double the size of the company here in the United States in the next 5 to 6 years, it became really apparent to me at the American international schools that I visited that there was a great opportunity for preschools in other countries. Since I was there, we've actually had some of the BRICS that we've been talking about, from Brazil to India to China to South America, even the Middle East. We're getting people contacting us because obviously education is a driving force for the future workforce. And all the research says that brain development in the first 5 years has a significant impact on a child's learning and life skills. So early childhood education is really becoming well recognized as a very vital component, yet most countries don't have a proven model for that. So what's next for us is to start researching international and beginning to look at how we'll deliver in an international market.
Fantastic. Joe, thank you for sitting down
It's
with me.
been a pleasure. Thank
you.